Hello, and welcome to the setup and configuration video for the AT-HDR-MX1616, a 4K HDR HDMI to HDBaseT matrix switcher. In this video, we will walk through the setup and configuration of the web server interface. The MX1616 is set to DHCP by default and will receive an IP address from a DHCP server. If no DHCP server is detected, the MX1616 will automatically assign itself in the self-assign range, and you can use a network scanner to locate the device. Here in training, we encourage you to always carry a small DHCP router in your tech bag so that you can locate the devices using the address specified by the IT department for the location. To see what the IP address is for the unit, press and hold the Enter button for 5 seconds. It will show you the IP address while the button is pressed. When you locate the IP address, you can access the web server for the MX1616. The default password is Atlona with a capital A. The first time you log in, you will be asked to change this password. This first tab is the General Information page. It gives you the serial number, firmware, IP address, as well as the time of the system. We will show how to adjust this time setting on a later tab. The next section allows you to set the password for the admin user. Finally, the Operations section allows you to enable or disable the system standby, which reduces the power consumption on the device when enabled. You can also lock out the front panel from being used for manual selection. If you want to reset the system to factory setting, you can select it here, as well as force a reboot from the web interface. The second tab along the top is the Network Settings. Here you can change the device from DHCP to static, and we tell you the MAC address right here, so it's easy to locate and assign. The host name by default includes the last 2 octets of the MAC address. You can adjust this to make it easier to locate on the network. This is where you can enable or disable the use of Telnet, Telnet authentication, SSH, and TCP proxy for control. The third tab for the system is the time. The MX1616 uses an internal clock to store the current date and time. When setting the time and date, Universal Coordinated Time must be used. Training is in Texas, so we are going to select the Central Time Zone, and because our system is not on the network, we can manually set the time. If the MX1616 was connected to the internet, we could use the NTP server. The next section is the matrix, but to make it easier to manage, you can name your inputs and outputs, so we are going to jump to the third tab, Configuration. This section covers modification of input and output names, EDID management, and HDCP capabilities for each input, while also displaying video and audio information for each input. We have 2 inputs connected. You can see the green dot in the upper right corner means it's connected and on. The red dot means the source is not connected or off. For our system, we have 1 PC for input 1 and a digital signage on input 2. You can see that you need to select Save in order to save the name. There is a restriction on the names. The name can be 1 to 10 characters and can only contain letters, numbers, single hyphens, underscores, and spaces. With the source connected, you can adjust the EDID. This data specifies the video and audio formats the display supports. The MX1616 includes several pre-programmed EDID options and also allows the storage of custom EDID data. We will review the EDID management section to show how to set a custom EDID in a moment. All outputs have mirrored HDBaseT and HDMI connections. We have 2 outputs connected and the displays are on. And just like the inputs, we can name the outputs so that it's easier to keep track of their locations. Before a source can send picture and sound to a display device, the source reads the EDID stored in the display. The EDID contains information about what type of video and audio formats are supported by the display. The MX1616 can use a factory-programmed EDID, the downstream EDID from the display, or a custom EDID. The switcher provides 10 blank memory locations that can be used to store EDID data. The audio can be set up under the Analog Audio tab. You can also name the line output so that you know which channel it's connected. Each output can also be set up with a 10-band equalizer. Simply choose the output and select Active. Then you can set up your EQ for that output. The default is Bypass. Now we will go back to the Matrix Switching tab, and the first page is the AV routing that manages the assignment of input video sources to outputs. By default, the AT-HDR-MX1616 is configured for one-to-one routing, where input 1 is assigned to output 1, input 2 to output 2, and so forth. To route a single input to all outputs, click the All checkbox. In this example, input 2 is routed to all outputs. By default, the audio follows video. The analog audio routing page controls the distribution of de-embedded input audio to analog audio outputs. When the follow video setting is turned off, you can manually route the audio to whatever analog audio port on the switcher you want. However, there is still audio being sent to the receiver for which you have routed video. Or put more simply, these controls are only for controlling the routing of analog audio from sources in the switcher to the analog audio ports on the switcher, and this is not controlling the routing of audio to the receiver units. The Presets page allows saving and loading of input to output switch configurations to and from the matrix. Up to 10 switching presets can be stored. Let's say we want input 2, which is digital signage, to go to all the displays. Let's change the preset name and hit Save. Now on the AV routing page, we will select the routing. Back on the preset, let's select Save. Now you see the Activate button is orange. Next, I want to send input 1 out, 1 and 2. Select Save and then change the preset name to Computer and select Save. Now let's activate the digital signage preset and check the routing. Now let's go back to the computer. These presets can be activated through a control system such as Velocity. The Control tab is for the extenders. You can set the RS-232 baud rate for each of the ports, and it will automatically save. For our system, I have set up the RS-232 to an LG display using the extender output 2. I am going to change the baud rate to 9600. If I go back to the lobby, you can see it's still set to the previous baud rate. The local RS-232 allows for third-party control systems to control the MX1616 switching and presets via the API. On the CEC tab, we allow you to change the on-off CEC codes, and it will save them to be used with each output. You can choose the HDMI out or the HDBaseT out. Based on what output you choose, you can change the CEC commands being sent. Let's change the commands for the HDMI and select Save. Then I will go back to the HDBaseT, and you can see it's unchanged. And back on the HDMI, it is the new settings. Under the Maintenance tab, we update the firmware. The package will update the MX1616, as well as any firmware for the individual cards in the switcher. Here is where you can download the log for use by our tech support teams. For more information on the AT-HDR-MX1616, head over to Atlona.com.